So this is a wild turn of events. It was recently rumoured, that the writer of Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, who was also due to be writing Avengers the Kang Dynasty, was fired. Now it's doing the rounds that he was a social media scooper. Jeff Loveness. Now he's come out and denied being a scooper, but not that he's been fired, for whatever that means. I mean, maybe it's an admission by omission, right? You know, potentially. But this is just a wild turn of events. It just goes to show the disarray that Marvel's truly in at this point in time. You've got the lead actor, Jonathan Majors, for the sort of villainous role that they've built the entire Phase 5 and 6 around, up in the air, whether he's going to be coming back or not. They did Loki Season 1 and 2, with him being the sort of central figure. And, the Phase 5 and 6 is all centered around Kang, or the many Kangs, the multiversal Kangs, Council of Kangs, etc. So he's basically going to court because domestic violence charges, crazy stuff. And then you had the writer fired, then reported that he's a scooper, and now he's saying, well, no, I wasn't a scooper, but not stating anything about being fired. Absolute shit show that Marvel really is at this point in time. So last week it was reported that Marvel Studios had chosen to part ways with Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania writer Jeff Loveness, who was a Rick and Morty writer, and that's why you had just utter garbage humour in Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. It was really bad humour. Barely any of it landed. And I bet you anything he was influential in writing the line for MODOK saying, I'm not a dick or something like that. So for goodness sake. Rick and Morty writers no, you're not good. So the Rick and Morty alum had been tapped to pen Avengers the Kang Dynasty after introducing Kang the Conqueror in the Phase 5 opener. However, fans were quick to make it clear they didn't want Loveness back, and the Ant-Man threequel's poor critical and commercial performance seemingly sealed the writer's fate. They signed him up to write Kang Dynasty before Quantumania had even been released, which should make people very, very dubious about Marvel's sort of critical thinking skills at this point in time, and also their ability to field whether people are decent or not. Whether they're actually good at their jobs or not. So you write Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. They clearly thought it was great. They clearly thought it was amazing because they're like, yep, let's get him on board to do the Kang Dynasty. He's our next great writer. Idiots. Now, nothing has been confirmed at this stage. You have to feel for the writer. He was sent out to promote Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania in interviews, which saw him repeatedly asked about the movie's negative reception. I don't feel bad for him at all. That is the price of his paycheck. Dealing with both good and bad, feedback from the movie that he wrote. That is the price of the paycheck. Now, ultimately, Loveness was being made the face of the movie's failings, making it easier for Marvel Studios to eventually part ways with him. Now, this is true. That's kind of how it felt, because it's quite unusual for a Marvel writer to be so front and center. It was quite odd. Quite odd. But anyway, earlier yesterday, a pretty wild rumor popped up online claiming that Loveness is one of Twitter's many anonymous online social media scoopers. Now, this obviously suggests that while working at Marvel Studios, he was secretly gaining social media clout by sharing confidential details about the MCU. There were lots of Quantumania leaks prior to its release, and while we've had a fair few for the Kang Dynasty as well. So essentially, the rumour is that he basically set up a bogus online accounts to share information. Seems like a really weird thing to do, though. Because you're not going to get a social media account anonymously. Who cares about that? That's super bizarre. Now, Marvel Studios is also still trying to get Reddit to... They're still trying to subpoena Reddit, basically, for information. Or Google, anyway. So it's possible something was uncovered which led to Loveness's alleged dismissal. Now, for what it's worth, the writer was quick to take to Twitter to firmly deny the accusations. However, Loveness has not denied Jeff Snyder's scoop about being let go from the Avengers movie prior to the WGA strike. So we're intrigued to see what, if anything, this leads to, but the news he'll likely no longer pen Kang Dynasty has been welcomed by fans. Most people are pretty happy about that, to be fair. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, this is obviously what happened. So V Scooper says Jeff Loveness was a scooper. And then Comicoji says, which one? I don't know who, just that he was caught with a second account posting relevant details. And then someone shared this. Says, if this really was Jeff Loveness all along, that is the funniest and wildest shit ever. Nah, that's not me. Didn't leak anything. All bogus, is what he replied. I mean, it would be funny if that is the case. I can't see that being the case, because what do you have to gain from doing that? If you're an anonymous scooper online, you've got nothing really to gain. Now, it's a little bit, because he's working in the industry, it's a little bit different when people go to watch test screenings and they leak information, or you're a low-level grunt on film sets and you leak information that way. You know, you're watching something unfold which is garbage or really good and you want to get the word out. That's different. But someone who's literally, you know, making them quite sizable chunks of change from writing these films doesn't really have too much to gain from an anonymous scooping account. It seems a bit dumb. So I don't really believe it, but he's obviously denied it, but he's not denied being fired. I would imagine he has been fired from the Kang Dynasty because Quantumania was a total bomb, has lost millions for Marvel. And they're stupid anyway, because they signed him up to do Kang Dynasty before Quantumania had even been released, so they clearly liked it. But it would be incredibly stupid of them to pursue it now. They know that people aren't responding to him. But anyway, let me know what you think down below. I'd love to hear it. I don't think he's a scooper, but I could be wrong. Let me know your thoughts. Take care.